Hi everyone, this is Jensen with Sutton Ridge Farm, and I am with you today in another of our vendor profile videos. We are interviewing today Umut Kaplan with Cocinella products.
Yes.
And so I am here today at his location just outside of Minneapolis, and I am very excited to be here today. And before we even get into the gist of it, when I came, he very graciously offered me, he's like, do you want coffee? And I said, well, only if you're making some. So he comes out with this beautiful display.
Thank you.
And so actually, before we get into the talk about the olive oils, we're going to talk a little bit about Turkish coffee. So
You know, it's a part of our hospitality. We, during our, daily lives, we drink more tea. But whenever we have special guests to our homes and offices, family come over, we usually ask, how'd you like your Turkish coffee?
So yeah, so how do we go about this? Do we drink in a certain way?
Let's do cheers.
Do we do cheers? Okay.
And then
thank you.
I hope you like it. And Jennifer, this is...
Ooh, that's awesome.
There's a little texture to it, and it's known to be a bitter coffee. I like to make it smoother sometimes because I don't know everyone's palate. But also something we have that I don't have it with me today is Turkish Delight.
Oh, yes.
If you recall the movie or the book, The Witch, the Lion, the Wardrobe, Narnia.
Yep, Narnia.
That was like the candy that the boy received from the witch. And it's a very common way to offer Turkish coffee. That's why we have like saucers like this, so that you put together a few Turkish Delights here and kind of balances out.
Yeah.
It's not too sweet. This is a little bitter. It's a good... accommodates it well, basically.
Well, this is, I appreciate it. So I drink French press every day.
Sure.
So I like my coffee a little bit stronger anyway. Coffee. So yeah, this is great. So thank you very much. So Umut, who is Cocinella? And tell us about your family.
I actually take it back a little while to share how we started the business and why we started the business. Because it all dates back to 2011. Me and my brother were the only kids in the family. We were born and raised in Turkey. We live in the capital, Ankara. And my family wanted to become a host family in 2011 through a program called AFS, American Field Service. So we hosted an Italian exchange student in our house for 1 year. Phenomenal experience. He became fluent in Turkish. He could write in Turkish in 1 year. So what happened is throughout this time, it really influenced my family to send my brother and I for a similar experience. So at the time, me and my brother, we did not want to separate from each other. So we found a different program and we landed in New Hampshire at a boarding school. At the ages of 15 and 16, we're like this tall back then. And a huge cultural shock, big language barrier.
Yes.
And it was very difficult.
How brave of your parents to send you off to America at 15 and 16.
Especially my mom. I mean, she's a very emotional person. She's one of a kind. And she apparently cried every night. She didn't tell us that.
Oh.
So it was definitely difficult because, again, United States is far. Sometimes people who live here forget about that because, they live here.
Yeah.
It's like 11 hours. By the time you come here and go back with the time difference, you're already losing 2 days. So it's not like going to Italy from Turkey. It's a hustle. So they didn't get to visit all the time. Anyway, we came to New Hampshire. We stayed for a year and we had the best time. When my parents saw that, they said, well, you can continue with your education if you like. And we did. So the following year, I'm a senior. Then I graduate, went to Michigan State. 2 years later, my brother joins me there. But he got overwhelmed. He wanted to go to a smaller school. And we applied as a transfer student to 9 different states. Minnesota was the only one that accepted us together. That's how we ended up in Minnesota. And why we started the business has to do with our journey. Because when my parents visited us in New Hampshire, we hosted our faculty for dinner, our friends, their families. And my parents always felt so grateful for the fact that our community have really embraced us. Made us feel home.
Wow.
away from home. But throughout this journey, there was a spark in terms of bringing a part of our own culture and share it with the community, our new second home as well. Why we developed these product lines also has to do with our observation and our journey, because whenever we made dinner, what's the first thing we look for? A good extra virgin olive oil.
Of course.
From Turkey, that's the essence of our diet. But what we got to realize is, first of all, there was none from Turkey, which was very sad. But we also got to realize the consumption was very low in the US compared to Mediterranean countries like Spain, Greece, Turkey, Croatia, Italy. People didn't use olive oil so much here. And also, we got to realize people don't ask the question of how the olive oil is made. When we saw that, we saw an opportunity. Because what makes an olive oil good quality? Yes, the soil is important, therefore where it comes from is important. But what's more important is how do you produce it? Very commonly we realized people only looked at and questioned two terms. If the bottle says extra virgin, if it says cold pressed, and if it's from a popular country for their olive oil, done.
Yeah.
Say no more. That's like what they look for in terms of quality. But no one asks which month is it harvested. Because the earlier that you harvest your olives, when they're not ripe, when they're green and small, the fruit has a higher polyphenol content.
Oh, okay.
Polyphenols are the healthy antioxidants found in an extra virgin olive oil. That's what makes it healthy, basically. So there was a study, I think 2019, they compared like 20 different oils. Avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, virgin olive oil, but they also had a high polyphenol content extra virgin olive oil. That performed the best. Up until 480, it's safe for you to use that. So you certainly can cook with it.
To 480?
Yes.
Really?
If it's
okay.
Again,
good to know.
Again, not every extra virgin olive oil, if it's high in its polyphenol content.
Okay.
And ours is.
So how I got to know Umut and his olive oils was a couple different ways. A girlfriend of mine had shared the information with me, and one of my daughters, whose name actually is Olivia, close to the name of the olive oil, met Umut at a farmer's market. And so she had come home somewhere in there. This was like a year and a half or a couple years ago, maybe even now. And so she was talking about the importance of single sourcing. And so I had an olive oil in the kitchen, and so she was like, Mom, for instance, the olive oil you're using. And so it was a nicer brand, at least I thought. And so she looks at the back of the bottle and she's like, Mother, she's like, do you see all the countries that this olive oil is from? And she was explaining to me why that was bad, and the whole reasons, with the integrity and just the oxygen and the way that affects the nutrition and everything. And so then that led me down, the road of exploring more on knowing my olive oil. And so
this is an excellent point, because I want to touch on two things here.
Okay.
Yes, we do not want to blend it, because the whole blending process, the olive oil gets oxidized, which hurts the quality. But what I want to touch on is there is a term that's being perceived wrong, is single origin is not the same as single estate.
Okay.
So there is also that when you say single origin, it can mean it's from a certain country or a certain area, yet that still can be a blend. Whereas where we say single estate, it comes from one farm only.
One farm only.
So single origin and single estate is not the same thing. When we were not in this business at the time, but we knew as a family that the process made all the difference. So we went to Aydın, Turkey, which is the southwest region of Turkey. We met the farmers, and we met a boutique factory, and we said, we want to produce our own. But we want to be in charge of the process.
Okay.
We need to decide, are we organically producing this? Because the term organic, again,
Yes.
can be challenging.
Yes.
a bottle might say organic, but the process is nothing but organic. This whole blending, it can't be organic when you're blending it.
Right.
But every oil that they're blending it has an organic certificate. Now they label it organic. So there are some challenges there as well. So, and we knew that, and we said we want to be in charge of the whole process.
Yes.
And then we purchased the land.
Okay.
Every product has a story behind it. And it's hard for you to know all those stories. But now that we're in it, because we harvest our olives by hand.
Okay. Wow.
That itself is amazing. And yes, olive trees can get very tall, and if we can't reach, we climb on a ladder and we shake it by hand.
Okay.
Because that's another part of the process. Majority of those big olive oil brands, they're working with millions of acres maybe. They're shaking the trees with these machines, the olives hitting the ground. Well, they can get bruised, they can get damaged. You're not gonna get as fresh of a taste from that olive oil anymore. We wanted to bring our own brand. So we met the farmers, and again, but we also brought our textiles. Because now Turkey has the same difficulty, because we as a country have built the name for towels and textiles.
Yes.
People have heard of Turkish towels.
Yes.
But people in Turkey know that, that we have the brand name. So it's very common for people to buy towels that are made in Turkey, 100% cotton, but sometimes they don't even absorb. Because again, if you don't produce it properly, if you mix things, it might look the same or it might not dry the same. I had so many customers who would see our products and ask, are these Turkish towels? I'm like, yes. I had a bad experience with Turkish towels. I got 10 from Amazon for $80. They don't dry anything. And I'm like, I don't know how they're made. Just because the tag says made in Turkey, 100% cotton, doesn't mean it's 100% Turkish cotton. It can be a blend. They might not woven properly. Therefore, it's not going to work the same. So we did our due diligence. We met with 40, 50 families. We worked with 4.
Okay.
We saw who they employed. We saw their sustainability standards. And we saw the quality. And we also brought our towels. So Cocinella is our parent company.
Okay.
Think of like the distributor. Our olive oil brand is Oleavia. Our textile brand is Aegean Breeze.
Our farm is west of here, about 35 minutes or so. And so, you know, our store brings people in from further west. And, you know, so it's just another little touch point where people have access to such a beautiful, nutritious olive oil. And, you know, I wanted, just the thought that came to mind too is that unfortunately with like so many processed foods today, there are chemicals put in to make it taste good.
Right.
You know, there's the MSG, there's nitrates and the like, and a host of other chemicals that I don't even know, but they put it in there so that you keep eating, you know, but there's no nutritive value to that. And yours tastes good because it is good. You know, when you have that fine quality, you don't need to put anything in there to make it taste good on its own.
By the way, I should share this. There is a competition for olive oil. It's called New York International Olive Oil Competition.
Yes.
It's known to be the biggest stage for determining good quality olive oil in the world. We just got a gold medal.
Did you
yesterday.
really?
Yes.
Congratulations!
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness!
I forgot about this. I should share that with you. So our
absolutely.
Ashalik edition, like this one,
yes,
it was just awarded with a gold medal. So it's been recognized again. We have been awarded in the past too.
Well, I saw that. I think 2020 and 2021 you received awards for it, and now again. So you're hearing it here for one of the first places to hear it, I guess. So,
so again, oxidation hurts the quality and the taste of the olive oil. Therefore, during the production and after producing it, we try to minimize oxidation as much as possible. During the production, after our olives picked, they're pressed within 4 hours. That's it.
Wow.
And we store it in like big stainless steel tanks, and we press nitrogen in the tank.
Okay.
So that minimizes oxidation, limits it. And then it's bottled at the factory. You know how sometimes you go to an olive oil store, they bottle it there?
Sure.
We don't recommend that because each time you bottle it, because there's an empty bottle, like a half a liter, and you're waiting for that to fill out. And each time you do that, what's sitting here is getting oxidized. So that's why it's done in the factory. And we have this unique cap. So what it is again, extra thinking, an extra step.
Yes.
While you're using it at home, there's still minimum oxidation. For example, I should talk about this. Olive oil, the polyphenols, one of the substances is called oleacanthal. That's one of the polyphenols that's in the olive oil. Oleacanthal in 2018 was found effective in the fight against cancer and Alzheimer's. So meaning if you have a high polyphenol content, you have a high oleacanthal content. But again, this doesn't mean it's going to cure that, yet it's a very valuable nutrition for the fight against it.
Yes.
And for your immune system, for your brain, your heart, for your skin, it's anti-inflammatory. That's why we call it liquid gold.
Yes.
Back home. But again, it needs to be the right one.
The right one. You go into the store, even a very nice, store, you see all these olive oils and the bottles look really, wonderful. And sometimes, you might buy an olive oil just because the bottle looks beautiful, but without looking at the label. So you do need to read the label.
Main things to look for, is it early harvested? Is it high in its polyphenol content? If it talks about the variety of the olive, that helps too. Like Memagic olive, we describe here in the back, it's made with Memagic olives.
Okay.
The bottle, again, is it glass, is it dark? Those are like the best methods of storing an olive oil. So those are a couple things to look for. Again, I should emphasize on this. We talked about red flags, but if it's not a red flag, doesn't automatically mean it's good for you. I mean, if it's just glass and dark, that doesn't mean that's great. It's just, it needs to be that way plus more.
Plus more.
Plus what we talked about. But single estate, when is it harvested? Is it high in its polyphenols?
Yes.
That's where you're going to get the health benefits out of it, mainly.
And because we've talked about nutrition in our other videos and everything, it's so much quality over quantity. When our bodies receive the building blocks of what it craves and needs, you don't need as much. Well, and we say too, just baby steps. So maybe you're thinking, how do I do this? There's so much. Maybe it's starting with your meat, or maybe it's starting with organic vegetables, or maybe you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to take a step in the right direction and get the right olive oil, and you just build upon it. And it is a lifestyle, and you can bring things in slowly and tell it's just second nature. And your body will appreciate it. Your thinking is clearer. Just everything about your holistic person, you're going to see improvements as you improve your diet. And because that's the fuel.
That's the best medicine out there.
It is.
Is what you eat.
It is, and it's the easiest way to take care of yourself.
Right.
So, something that we don't think about as consumers necessarily is the logistics. So this is coming from Turkey. So there's a lot of steps to get it here. So Umut, would you tell us a little bit about the logistics of getting your olive oil to Minnesota?
Absolutely, and it's very important. A couple things. First of all, after COVID, that's one of the reasons why people saw price increases, because logistics was a nightmare. And I'll actually give you guys exact numbers, no problem sharing that. So when we bring a full container, those shipping containers that you see is like 40-foot container. That's what we bring, and we have a warehouse here in the back. We unload everything here. How
many, would you term it in gallons or boxes, or how?
How much can it fit?
Yeah.
So if we're bringing textiles, a full container can get about 800 boxes. That's just textiles, no olive oil. Wow. If we're bringing olive oil, it can get about 16 pallets. And a pallet usually have about 1,024 bottles in it. So it can get up to almost 17,000 bottles we can bring in one container.
Wow.
It became very expensive after COVID. What it used to cost us $3,500, we paid $16,000 for it.
What? Wait, say that again.
It went from $3,500 to $16,000.
Oh my goodness.
And we're a small importer.
Yes.
We bring one, maybe two ice a year. Hopefully that's going to increase in the future. But some companies are bringing hundreds a week.
Wow.
So, and now they're pricing one up 10,000 per container. So some of the pricing went up. And now,
my goodness,
it didn't come down to what it was again. Never did. It came down a little bit, but once ship owners realize people are paying for this,
wow.
they're going to have to continue to pay for it. What's important in the logistics is if we're not able to send our olive oil at the time that we want, we have to bring a climate controlled one.
Okay.
Because as it's crossing the ocean, again, if it's a very good olive oil can become very bad very quickly if it's exposed to heat. So an olive oil coming from the Mediterranean country is going to spend about 3 weeks on the ocean, maybe more.
Wow.
If it's not at a certain temperature inside that container, it can go very bad.
Oh my goodness.
Doesn't matter what you're bringing. So that's why that's a very challenging aspect of it, or something that we have to be very careful each time.
Wow.
Depending on the date, and it's way more expensive, by the way. So that's why big companies might not do that. I mean, if a company is putting their olive oil in plastic, they might not even think about that because they don't care about that anymore.
Yep.
So there's a lot that goes into it, and then we bring it here. It needs to clear customs. Sometimes it takes a while there. You can find a trucker. It can be a challenge, but now we've kind of understood how the system works.
Mm-hmm.
It's stuffed in Turkey. It's bottled in Turkey, by the way. I should mention that again.
Yes.
We don't bottle it here. It's bottled in Turkey. Put in the bottles, put in the cases, put on a pallet, put in a container. Comes to our warehouse. We lift the dock. We have our pallet checks, and we bring everything in. And this is where we distribute out of. This is where we ship out of. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this
Absolutely.
and with your community, and we're very happy that people are enjoying it.